This is Laura DeFranco, holistic physical therapist and owner of Brave Healer Productions. I'm excited to bring you my new holistic healing series where you're going to learn from the experts what it means to live fiercely alive, mind, body, and soul. I invite you now to take a breath, relax, and feel the vibe of the words my guest has to share with you today. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I have a very special episode for you. Some collaborative badassery from 3 of our expert authors for The Ultimate Guide to Self-Healing, Volume 4. You guys, I woke up one day in March of 2020, last year, from a dream about helping the world heal at home with real, powerful, practical tools that you can practice from the pages of these books. And when Volume 1 was born, I did not realize we'd be sitting here almost a year later talking to you about Volume 4. The journey has been totally incredible, and I'm honored to be sharing the stories and the messages of these world-changing business owners that you see in front of you today. So please let me introduce to you some of the authors of The Ultimate Guide. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here.
Hello. Hi.
So you guys, Amy Gillespie, you know what? Dougherty or Dougherty? Tell me, Amy.
It's Dougherty.
Okay, I had it right the first time. I should have trusted myself.
You did.
She wrote chapter 6, you guys, Resolving Cellular Memories. Your ancestors have waited your whole life for this moment. She created Irrigenics as part of her international survival skills training programs. She helps holistic entrepreneurs go from being one of many to being the one who uses ancestral eye reading to help their clients embrace the life they were born to live. And you guys will need to ask her how to meet your ancestors. And of course, I have our amazing authors hooked up in the show notes for you guys for later with their websites and everything, okay? So I also have with me Dorothy, Lenore, Tome, Chapter 10, Undoing Meanings. There's always another way of seeing. Dorothy is a facilitator of A Course in Miracles, Law of Attraction, and the Enneagram. She holds degrees in education and humanities and certificates in life coaching, U theory, and organizational change. She taught in a Montessori preschool and was a Waldorf Steiner parent in the Philippines before coming to Las Vegas. Las Vegas, baby. Yeah. I also have Cedric Nwafor with me. He wrote chapter 16, you guys, Gardening, a Catalyst for Innovation and Healing. Passion for agriculture drives Cedric, the founder of Roots Africa, a youth-led organization that combats hunger, poverty, and exclusion by connecting students and agricultural experts in the US to farming communities in Africa. Cedric manages the Agriculture Innovation Program at the University of Maryland College of Agriculture, Natural Resources. You guys, if you don't already realize the power of the experts I have in this Zoom room, I don't know what is going to make you do that. Okay, so Amy, we're starting this party with you, girl. Tell me a little bit about your story and this amazing chapter that you wrote.
Thank you, Laura. So I was in Mozambique, Africa for 6 years doing survival skills training. And when I came back to the States, I really wanted to continue doing survival skills training work with kids here. And I took a course with a man named Bob Stevens on conscious language, how our subconscious kind of speaks through the words that we're saying and using. And he had a program called biooptic holography, reading the eyes, and I was hooked. I was like, that's just the coolest thing. And really, when I looked at what's going on with American kids, the thing that seems to be, that is our greatest trauma is the self-destructive behaviors and suicide that happens amongst teens. And so I I dove into this eye reading thing. And along the way, I kept going with other training, thinking there's something missing, something missing, something missing. And finally, I got to a gentleman who was training all about grandparents and great grandparents. And that's when I realized the treasure map that we were looking at was actually the treasure map of our epigenetics, our gifts, our talents, our abilities, what we were born to become, but also unresolved traumas of our ancestors, which is where we come to my chapter 6 on resolving cellular memories, where I explain to people about working with the experience of your parents' pregnancy with you. And the tool that I bring is allowing them to make a timeline of that full year up to their birth, meaning 3 months before their conception, and having them walk it through with their parents and actually do a visualized meditation and kind of rebirth and just sort of sort out some of that cellular memory that's in place.
I loved your tool, and I actually have to thank you, and I'll thank all of you, stepping up to write the tool, because you all are master teachers and you're speaking it and teaching it all day long, but then to be challenged to come in and do it in the way, in words in a book, that the reader can actually have a practical experience. That was my goal, right? And you all stepped up so beautifully to do that. And Amy, you made me think about that, because as I read through your tool, I thought, oh, and I had the timeline visual on the floor, and I thought, oh, all right. So, and having had an eye reading with you now, I'm interested more in what could be the awareness. You guys are all teaching awareness tools. Talk to me more about the awareness with what you do with your tool.
So in the case of the ancestral eye reading, it's the awareness of those unresolved patterns of your ancestors. So for example, if you are someone who continually has relationships where people aren't listening to you, and you find yourself throughout the day screaming out loud or in your mind, you never listened to me, or I knew it, I knew I should have, you've let somebody talk you out of something again. And when you got that, I just did it again, typically what's happening is the words of your ancestors are coming through you in their dialect, in their accent, from the same situation in 1585 or 1642 or 1893 or 2021. Here we are again. And so with that awareness, you have an opportunity to re-engage the pattern in a whole new way. So where you used to get mad, furious, maybe suicidal, maybe really depressed, now you have a chance to go, oh, ancestral, wait a minute. I'm not really isolated like my ancestors were. I have a cell phone. I have Wi-Fi. I have Amazon. I have the things my ancestors never had. Today, I can re-engage this pattern in a whole new way. And that's what that awareness gives you.
Yeah, awareness is everything, right? We're going to talk about awareness a little bit later, kind of a little more in depth, because of how foundational I think it is to healing, really to an awesome life. Seriously. Thank you, Amy, so much. Dot, I'm going to move to you next, and let's chat about your story, a little bit about your story and your beautiful chapter that you wrote.
Thank you so much, Laura. And I really love what you told us, Amy. I love that, because I saw patterns in myself, patterns of instability in my emotions, in my thoughts, and in the way I engaged with my children, my husband. It's more relationship and mental patterns, thoughts that were damaging for me and for everyone around me. And most especially this past few years, or several years, actually 8 years that I've been here in the US, that I became fully aware that the way I engaged with my husband was very damaging to our relationship. I mean, in a very personal way. So one day, this study of A Course in Miracles really helped us in looking inside and finding what's going on here. So that led me to, looking into my words and my behavior and how they're interconnected with my belief of who I am. my true identity. So A Course in Miracles brought that out in my relationship. And that's how I came upon this tool. It's the book, A Course in Miracles, and I strung together words and lessons from the course and came up with this tool, which was very powerful for those who are not fully studying A Course in Miracles. Yep.
I love the title, Undoing Meanings. And again, I'm going to sound a little repetitive talking about awareness again, but when you can stop making reality mean anything extra, then all of a sudden you have a choice. So you understand that you're putting the meaning on, right? Talk to me a little bit more about undoing meanings.
Oh, yes. See, I forgot about that. So for example, here's a cup. The cup did not, or the mug did not come into existence with a prepackaged meaning that is perfectly and exactly the same for Laura and Amy and Cedric and Dorothy. Each of us has our own meaning for the cup. So when I say this cup is, the classic half full or half empty, is really perception. And it has, so everything in the world is neutral. It has no meaning, but we give the meaning to it. I have given everything all the meaning it has for me. So in the undoing of the meaning of the cup that I'm relating with everyone else, or the cup that's relating with each one of us, if we undo that, it's like coming clean slate for every moment, for every person, for every event. And there's no judgment. There's no story. There's no heaviness to it, or, the baggage that we carry around something. So in the undoing, we come clean and then we're open. What's going on here? Like, it's a newness. There's a newness to everything, a curiosity.
I'll never forget the conversation that I had so quite a while ago, many years ago, about this, and as it relates to even the meaning of life, the meaning and purpose of life in general. And I love the big juicy questions, right? So I'm going to go right there with this one. And it's the idea that, life has a meaning and a purpose for you, and you have to figure it out. You have to discover it. And actually, it's more about the one you choose. What brings you joy and the meaning that you're giving it. I'm sure you've heard that too.
Oh, yes. So even that, when we say, for example, the meaning of my life right now is I'm a teacher or I'm a mother, but then it changes, right? As we grow up and grow old and grow wiser and grow younger, the meaning changes, and you say, maybe my life purpose right now is to simply stay put and, relax and maybe write this book. So
exactly. I like that answer.
There's a newness to everything. Yeah.
Thank you, Dot.
Beautiful questions, Laura.
I'm going to move to Cedric. Cedric, talk to me about this amazing, this organization, Roots Africa, and this amazing chapter that you wrote.
Okay. If there's one thing that you would know about me, is that I love food. I love food so much. Growing up in Cameroon, I almost became a priest because every day when I was heading to school, I would see the priest. I would smell fried egg coming from his house. So I always felt like, if I became a priest, I get to eat egg. But I've had a really complicated relationship with food because I've seen what the availability of food causes and the lack of food causes. You see, growing up in Cameroon, we had 6 farms. We worked on these farms each and every day. This was like tedious manual labor. But despite all of this hard work, there were still days when we could not guarantee our next meal. And to me, I used to look at that as one of the biggest injustices. Like, nobody that worked as hard as we did, carrying bags for miles, should have to go to bed hungry if you work that hard. So you fast forward a few years later, I came to the US. I found this group of farmers from Idaho. They asked me, they heard about my background in agriculture. Then they asked me about if I've ever heard anything about Idaho. And all I could think of as an immigrant is like mountains of French fries. It's only potatoes that came to mind. So they were like, you should come to Idaho and come and see what agriculture is like in the US. Invited me over to Idaho. I spent about 10 days with them learning about innovative agriculture. And it was just truly mind-blowing. And I was on one of these farms. The name of the farmer was Drew. And Drew was telling me about his daily activities while I watched this tractor just till the soil in front of me. And at that moment, it dawned on me that the amount of time that tractor, the 5 minutes that tractor tilling the soil was, that tractor took tilling the soil was equivalent to the amount of work my family did for an entire week. So that tractor now was just a symbol for me, a symbol of resources, a symbol of goodwill, a symbol of expertise that if I can connect them in a meaningful way to communities in Africa, we could really make a huge difference. And so that's where Roots Africa as an organization really started. And to me, I do think that food is power, food is politics, food is a tool for peace, it's a tool for war. And we need to just figure out how do we ensure that everybody can guarantee their next meal. Because for a child growing up in Cameroon, if they do not have food to eat, you're growing a young and hungry leader that will end up being corrupt. So that's where Roots Africa really started. And I'm really using people being able to grow their own food, being able to provide for themselves as a tool to combat all of the other ills that we face in our society. So overall, that's the beginning of Roots Africa.
So talk to me a little bit more about what you're doing at the university.
Okay, so at the universities, I always try to talk in stories to put it in context. When I started Roots Africa, I went into one class and asked the students whether they would like to join the organization. And one of the kids was like, hey, there is hunger also in this country. Why should I go to Africa? And that had always baffled me. And I've always thought of how can I serve both communities? How can I be of impact? And luckily, I'm literally living the dream right now because I'm doing that in both sides. I'm working with Roots Africa, empowering farmers in Africa, mobilizing youth to be change makers. But I am also working with students at the University of Maryland, helping them build new, innovative agricultural tools, equipment, techniques, businesses, just helping them be innovative. So that's the other part of my life that I really enjoy because I get to serve both communities. I love both countries.
I think that was a great question, and I've from that students. I've heard that over and over for anything that we want to support, right? Well, we've got that problem right here in your back, yard. Why go? Why support it somewhere else? But you're just talking about that. The feeling that we're all connected globally, right? Yeah. Talk more about that a little bit.
So we are all part of a global system, right? When COVID hit, let me touch a little bit on COVID. We were faced with a huge challenge in our organization. We had the strictest lockdowns in Africa. We needed to support our students. We decided to launch this campaign because we realized that with $20, we can keep a family at home for more than 4 weeks during the heat of that lockdown. But it was challenging because everybody in the US was struggling as well. So how do you choose to give your donations to go to Africa? So the message that we really put across is that as long as we are going through the same challenge, that's a link of connection that exists between us. And by the definition of the challenges that we are going through, we are neighbors. Whether you live right next door to me or you live across the ocean, we are neighbors. And at this moment, it doesn't matter because we are going through the same challenge. So we need to come together as one. And that's where I think we are in a global community that's all interconnected.
Man, that is one of the ways to look at this as a gift, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's just fantastic. So for all of you, and I'm going to stick with Cedric to answer this next question that's going to come at all of you. We're going to kind of get back to this idea of awareness for a minute, but essentially all of the amazing authors who wrote about different kinds of tools for healing in this book, y'all are teaching awareness tools. Awareness at its foundation is healing. With awareness, you get choices. And without it, you're reacting, you're not responding anymore. So with awareness, you can respond to the biggest challenges of your life sometimes, right? And I just think that that is the magical foundation for healing. So Cedric, just sticking with you for a minute on this one, talk to me about the importance of awareness and really as it pertains to your own personal journey.
I think one of the key things, when people hear a great story, not my story, any other story, we always sit and think that that person was living the life and creating that story or that narrative as it goes. Until you come back and sit and reflect and look back at your life before you start connecting the dots. Like, oh, so this is the meaning of this. This is what led me here. This is where I am. And I think Emmy would definitely agree with this, like that aspect of retroactively or retrospecting your life, going back and looking and connecting the dots is so important. But just going into my chapter a little bit, I think this is something that ties to exactly what Dorothy is saying, where I encourage people to start a garden as a tool for healing and innovation. You could just go and start a garden and grow some food. But if you do not attach the meaning to why you're growing that garden, if you do not attach the intention and you do not attach that awareness to growing that garden, it really will just be growing a garden. And you may gain some benefits out of it, but maybe you'll be gaining 10%, 20%. There is still 80% of that's just hanging at the top that you've not even tested yet. So that's where I think awareness really makes a difference between somebody just doing something because it's an activity, but compared to somebody doing it with intentionality.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So many times I find myself listening to you all and I just am like, yes, with an exclamation point.
Yes.
I love that, Cedric. So Dot, how about you? So I want to kind of come at you with this same question. For you personally, what has awareness meant? Talk to me about your practice.
For me, like Cedric said, it's being in the fully present, intentionality. But in my study of the course, it's even more all-encompassing, the awareness. When I say, I am awareness, embodying it, I am the awareness, I am the consciousness, I am the intention of life. So when I say that I am awareness, and I see this brother, and I see my thought, and I see this garden, this bulb, this person's eyes, and I am allowing that, and I am connecting with this thing before me, this present moment. For me, that's my practice of awareness. It's a clean connection with whatever is presented in front of me or whatever it is I'm co-creating with Source. So, oh yes, this is my brother Cedric. I'm aware of him. I wonder what he is. I wonder what gift he has for the world. So my practice of that is really, just the curiosity, the cleanness of it, the clarity of whatever is in front of me. So yeah, and it has helped me so much, Laura and Amy and Cedric, helped me so much in going through life. I wonder what this COVID is.
Yeah, the curiosity, the I am statement is so powerful. I just want to back up to something you just said. If we all stop in the moment and say, I am co-creating with Source right now, you got to take on the responsibility of that. So, I mean, I think sometimes people just hide. They don't even want the awareness. They don't want the responsibility, right? And so just like, I don't know if I can do that, but small miracles, big miracles are made from this stuff, right?
Right, because like, for example, if I was not aware that there's something growing within me, I would not have said yes to this book, Laura. And this is what you're saying. This is so big. Oh my God, what am I doing here? But see, awareness brought me here, and people are, here we are, we're collaborating, we're connected. we're connecting.
Yeah.
Yes.
The oneness. Yeah. It's
No
beautiful.
doubt. Amy, how about you? Talk to me about awareness in terms of your own personal journey.
So part of my story is that I was adopted as an infant, and I grew up with a lovely adopted family. And in doing this work, I got to really take a look at the gestation experience, the experience our parents have of their pregnancy with us, and how, as we are a cell dividing, 1 cells 2, 4, 8, 16. Well, we're in that very cellular stage. The feelings and emotions and traumas happening to our parents can often imprint on us. So especially like now during COVID, when you think how pregnant women are maybe challenged by having to be in hospitals and clinics and things that don't happen in the States, where they're actually afraid to go for medical attention because it's the States, right? I mean, normally that's your safe haven. But for myself, it was when I realized that as I looked at people's eyes on their treasure map, I would see when the parents had a fear from the time of conception, meaning something about the relationship or something about that night, right? So someone who got pregnant a little too soon, someone who got pregnant during wartime, someone who got pregnant on military furlough, where in the morning they were like, oh my gosh, we can't be pregnant. I hope we're not pregnant. And that imprinted on the infant, on those cells dividing as, I hope we're not pregnant. I hope we're not having this child. So as we look at things that we attach meaning to our parents and those headbutting days that we have in our teen years, etc., I certainly had them. I certainly had times of just not being able to hear, I love you. I just couldn't hear it. They'd say, I love you. And I'd be like, no, you don't. You wish you had a boy. Or no, you don't. You don't love me. You just push back. What I didn't realize was my intuition and my cells were screaming, you didn't want me. But that wasn't about my adopted family. That was about my genetic conception. And even then, I've had the good grace to meet my birth mother at age 19 and my birth father at age 54. But I always knew it was that night. It was just one of those oops where somebody got caught and here's a baby. But my awareness of that whole battleground about you love me, no, you don't, that whole constant communication of, oh, don't worry about it. It's really my fault. Oh, don't even think about it. It's my own fault. All those times I took blame and fault and felt shame throughout my entire life was tied to that conception memory, that cellular memory that imprinted, you weren't wanted, you weren't supposed to be here. And once I came to that awareness, then I could take Cedric's route of connecting the dots back to all the relationships that I had really pushed away because of my not being able to receive I love you. I was able to look at all the meanings I had attached to all the cups, like Dot said, because I had attached that meaning, when really the whole time it was an internal job. And there's a great beauty in it. There's a great beauty in how resilient we become when we feel kind of unsupported. When you kind of grow up feeling like, you're beating your own drum. You don't fit in with anybody. It's pretty easy to go do something weird, right? Or something dramatic, like move to Africa and live in the bush. So it's easier to go break away from those who love you when you've had that kind of topsy-turvy beginning. So, but as I discovered, and like I talk about in my chapter, this is for all those parents who have kids who can't hear I love you, and how they didn't do anything wrong. Anybody would be scared during COVID, but just knowing that imprint can be there, just addressing that conversation and finishing that story. When you were born, we loved you with all our might, but the day we got pregnant, we were like, uh-oh, breaks. We don't have money for this. We're not ready for this. We're not prepared for this. And so when your cells scream, you didn't want me, that's where it's coming from. Let's talk this out.
That's powerful stuff. Cedric, did you have something to say about that?
Yeah, and also a question, just curious how you deal with learning about those challenges and not claiming victimhood and gaining that resilience to move forward.
Yeah, I went through probably decades of that victim blame game. And it was really once I got into the eye reading and saw that this map was here when I was 3 days old. They weren't my challenges. They were the reflections of my ancestors coming back into my life, and that I had an opportunity to not engage that pattern again, to give it a whole new spin, to give it a whole new existence and meaning. And so it's been quite a journey. As I said, I've been the person with the note written more than once, where I was going to check out because I shouldn't have been here to start with. Only I just didn't really realize all those pieces. So once I came to that awareness, it really just shifted everything.
And I think that answer is awareness, Cedric. And we, you know, these moments of our lives where we get it are such big gifts. And you never know, right? You have to be open and receptive in the moment. And I love practicing that every day, especially when I feel the most stuck in my head about whatever is happening. What did Dr. Phil say? You know, would you rather be right or happy? And so when I get stuck in my head about something, I'm like, okay, let's just let that go. You know, just a moment of awareness. So you guys, I'm going to switch gears a little bit. I'm going to start with Dot for this next question. We all serve other people. Part of our mission is to help other people. And y'all know that if we don't take care of ourselves, you head toward burnout and you're not going to be helping anybody. So what I love to talk about is it kind of moved over these interviews from how do you fill your cup, and then it became a pitcher, and now it's a bucket. So Dot, talk to me a little bit about how you fill your own bucket. What's something, one of your favorite things to do to fill back up again so you can serve from an overflow?
Gardening, Laura, gardening, Cedric. Oh my God, I love, if you went to my backyard, but sadly I have dead eggplants, dead celery because of the weather. So, but that's my cup filling. I love touching the soil, and doing that, I'm just in a state of gratitude all the time. Oh my God, this is so yucky. Thank you for this. This is the source of my food. Wow, yes. Yes, that's one thing. And then I do have groups that I go to every week, like 3 groups every week that we have very robust conversations and laughter and getting into silly stuff. So it fills my heart with joy. So that's one thing that I do, Laura. Yeah.
I love that. I especially love anything that will bring a little laughter into your moment, right? And life is short. We need to laugh more. Amy, how about you? How do you fill your bucket these days?
I create things. I do crafting. Like I make stitching cards, and I love to renovate. But also, if you were at my home right now, you would smell cloves steeping on the stove. And my treat that I learned coming out of Africa was a clove bath, where you steep cloves into a big Dutch kettle, and then you strain it into your tub and soak. It will detox and not only make you smell fabulous and feel fabulous, but it'll detox all kinds of things out of your system. If you ever come across anybody who's had bed bugs or mosquito bites or any terrible thing, it is a wonderful, wonderful cure for all of that. And so Clove Bath is probably my number one.
Clove bath. I have not tried the clove. Essential oils, yes. Epsom salts, yes. But I am now adding clove to my list. I love it. Cedric, how about you? What do you do?
I want the Emmy to keep on going. I want to hear more details about the clove. Definitely try it over here. But I think for me, of course, the first thing is that morning routine for me. Figuring out what is that right routine. I'm not perfect yet, because it has to be something that you develop over time and it really becomes a habit. But over time, I've realized that if I wake up, I don't do some level of meditation, yoga, a workout, and the planning of the day, my day will be chaotic and hectic, and I'll work really hard, but end up at the end of the day, I'll still feel like it's not enough. During the day, what really gets me re-energize me and gets me going again is my daughter. Her name is Kilani. And I do feel guilty sometimes. I'm like, am I giving you this stress? Like when I take like a 5-minute break, come and give her a hug and feel good. I'm like, I hope I'm not just coming and giving you all of the stress that I'm getting at work. But over time, I also make sure that we really spend quality time together, like actually play, so that I'm replenishing that emotional bank account. I'm not just only going to her when work is stressful to give her a hug and feel relaxed, but also finding time to make sure that I'm present, we're playing together, and I'm replenishing that bank account. So I would say those are the ways that on a daily basis I do replenish. But I think planning also is just the aspect of planning well and putting everything in place really helps in replenishing and making sure that you are either heading towards the right direction or you are on track. I think those are the things that I do.
You know, what I love the most about what you said about your daughter is, honestly, that's the way to be in the world with every human and every living being. So you made me think of my other family, my adult people, but you also made me think of my animals and all of the things that we reach for, but are we checking our own energy first? And we're going for relief, but what are we bringing to them? And again, it just kind of comes back to taking responsibility for your energy and your awareness of it. And taking even just 2 deep breaths before you go grab your pet or your daughter or even your spouse, right? So one of my big ones, you guys, is great, mostly loud music.
Yes.
So, energy shifter, put on the music, move your body. And I'm also with Cedric too, in terms of a morning routine that sets me up for the whole rest of the day. And I'm a mover and a shaker. And if I don't exercise, I'm not burning off enough energy. So I know now that even just a walk can do it sometimes. Sometimes I need to work out harder than that, but those are some of mine. I fill my bucket. Yeah, Cedric.
I think just on that point of workout is just something that I should have realized it sooner. But I've just come to a realization that every time you work out, you must not be in pain. It doesn't have to be a struggle, because that's what lets most of us not to work out eventually, because every time we go down there, we want to make sure that we are hurting before we come back out. If it's always a painful experience, then the chances that you go back and do it again really cuts down. I just think it's something that people need to keep in mind. You can go for a quick walk, you can go for a slow walk, and it's still better than nothing at all.
Yeah. 100% agree with you. And different day, you'll want different things for yourself.
So true.
Yeah. So just tuning in. Okay, guys, I got one last question to ask all of you today. And really, if you think about this last year that we've had, everybody had challenges to begin with. Everyone had a life and things that they were coping with before we started with the challenges of COVID, which just dumped on people, sometimes to the point of feeling like all of a sudden your ability to cope was very much diminished. And we had anxiety, and now we're topped with this. We've all been through a trauma together, seriously, in lots of different degrees of it. And what I kind of wanted from all of you today is, and I'll start with you, Amy, the listeners love, how we're talking about awareness and healing, and they might still be struggling. So what word of support would you have today to our viewers and listeners about just an easy entry into the healing journey? One simple way they can shift today.
A real simple, easy way to shift into healing energy is make a gratitude jar. Sometime each day, write down one thing that you're grateful for and be specific, and fold it up and put it into your gratitude jar, because we all have something to look at as that bright side, even in the worst times. So gratitude jar.
I love the energy of gratitude. It's badass. Yes, with an exclamation point. Dot, how about you?
I was going to say one phrase from the course. I could see peace instead of this. And then just inviting the peace, inviting the other point of view. I could see there's another way. There must be something else. And the gratitude jar, because I have 5 years worth of little pieces of paper in my gratitude jar. So I've been practicing this for 5 years, and they're wonderful. Just one a day, like one pill a day. Yes, take it easy, and it will open the eyes. It will open our perception of there's something good out there. Thank you for this microphone. That's one for my day. Thank you for this.
Yeah. I love you mentioned it earlier, Dot, the curiosity. I love that question. What else is possible?
Yes.
And even if it brings you into a neutral space, let's say you just don't know yet, but still from the negative to neutral is a shift.
Yes, 0 point. Yes.
And Cedric, what words of support would you give somebody today?
I will still lean towards gratitude, but just with a take that be grateful for the things that you've not yet achieved. If your goal is to win $1 million in the lottery, be grateful for that. If your goal is to have a happier family, be grateful for that. Because it is those feelings that tells the universe like, hey, this person is ready for this. Those feelings and the belief in that, oh, you've already achieved it, that gets the universe to make those things to manifest. So I would say be grateful for the things that have happened, as everybody has said, but be grateful for the things that you want to achieve, although that you've not yet achieved.
Fantastic. I love it. You guys, don't forget, I am going to be hooking you up with these amazing authors down in the show notes with their websites so you can explore. But viewers, I want to make sure that you come join us on March 3rd at 10 a.m. Eastern on the Brave Badass Healers Facebook page. We're having a live stream launch party with some pretty awesome giveaways, you guys. And 5% of the proceeds from all paperback sales that day on the 3rd are going to go to help out 2 of the nonprofits that I love to support. One of them is Roots Africa, founded by Cedric here. And the other is the Inkwell, founded by Miss Cayenne Thomas, who is also another author in this beautiful book. So I will also have some information about those organizations down there for you guys to read. And of course, if you're listening to this after March 3rd, well, that means the book is ready, so you can go get your copy.
Yes.
You guys, thank you so much for what you do in the world and for being here today to share it with everybody.
Thank you so much, Laura. Thank you, Amy and Cedric.
Okay, good to meet all of you.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I've got one last question. I love to close out the show with you guys. One last question for our viewers, and it goes something like this. What if there's something you haven't learned yet about healing that could change everything? It is time to be brave. See you next time, you guys.
Yes, see you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Love what you heard today. Don't forget to drop down and hit that subscribe button, you guys, and then join me over at bravehealer.com for just a little bit more healing badassery. Have a great one.